Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, GP Artworks and Creations. I'm glad you've come to join me today. If you haven't already, you might want to click that subscribe button and we'll get that all out of the way first. Today's going to be a little bit back to my exploring day. I was gifted some different acrylic paints for Christmas, and I figured we would explore them. This one says it's premium pigment, and it actually includes brushes. It's kind of interesting. I don't generally buy kind of generic water or acrylic. I kind of like my name brands, so we'll see what these are like. Get this opened up. It's kind of a fun multi-color selection. I'm going to open it up, and we have 3 paintbrushes. So we have the flat and the, I don't know if I can read these. These are really tiny, and it's black paint on it. So, oh, it doesn't say what a number it is. It just says paints for all. So, interesting. Well, put those aside. I'll whack the camera. And then we have our selection of paints in these little tubes. Now, most of my paintings now with acrylic are large paintings, and it's possible I would use up 1 tube of these on one painting. So I don't know, it's going to be interesting. And so we'll look at that in a minute. This other set is Norberg and Linden. I've never heard of them either. And I am not like the expert or final word on anything acrylic or artistic. I just don't do a lot of exploring with different stuff, so I've never heard of them. So if you have and you think they're great, let me know. That'd be great to see in the comments. This actually came with some little palettes. We're talking little palettes. So that's kind of fun because it fit in the box. But these are not tubes. These are bottles. And I don't generally buy paint in a bottle unless I'm teaching a class and I need a lot of just general paint. So it'll be interesting to see what quality these are, because I'm kind of used to that whole tube thing. These have some varied colors. We have cadmium orange, and you saw that cobalt blue, lamp black, Viridian, yellow green, which is kind of a sap green, I think, and lemon yellow, the white, ultramarine, which I've discovered is one of my favorite colors, burnt sienna, which is another one, and raw umber. Yes. Okay, well, so I'm thinking that I will do a little paint on these little palettes, since I don't know what else I would paint on them. And oh, that's if I can get them open. Because they got these wrapped pretty tight. I have a couple of canvas that are this small, but it's not something I've bought in a while. So, trying to think what I can paint on one of these. Try out the different. And normally I would put them on a palette I don't want to use my great big palette, so I'm going to get my okay, I got this little palette paper. This is what I used when I was comparing different textures of acrylic. So we're just going to go with this little palette and this little paint. I'm going to grab some of my own brushes. I don't know if, I guess we could try these. But, so, they're all taped up. Okay, and tape them. And let's see, what should we do here? We'll do one of my favorite fruits. Okay, they come with a top that we have to perforate, so we will do that. Oh goodness. I didn't expect it to do that. So let's scrape this off here. Interesting. Okay. Oil, you know. There we go. With that yellow. That was some of the cadmium yellow. This is the lemon yellow. And this time I won't be too ambitious. And then we're going to do a little bit of their yellow ochre. We'll put it over here so I don't get it all over the canvas again. We don't need lots of that. To remind myself this is just a little canvas. Okay, well, we already got yellow on it. So we're gonna do a lemon. And back in the day, I would have thought, okay, lemon is just yellow. That's all we do. I got my brush wet ahead of time because I've been doing so much watercolor I didn't even think. And these paints, just kind of I don't know. They're really light, so it kind of reminds me of watercolor a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit of white in here too. You don't need a lot of that either. And this seems to have good coverage. Put some white over here. Little too much yellow ochre in that. Let's get some more lemon yellow in here. And some more of the white. Put a little knob down here because lemons have this little knobby thing more often than not. We're trying to give it that feeling of more of a 3D object, not. And I need some raw umber, because that's my favorite brown. These really go in deep. It's kind of different. Okay, because I want a little bit more depth on this. And it really clings to the edges of this brush. I'll smooth that a little bit. A little bit down here on the bottom. The yellow, blend a little bit more. Because that brown kind of overpowered things a little bit. Okay. Interesting. Okay, we've got 3 different greens over here. We have green, pale, emerald green, and looks like Viridian, yeah. That's got that blue hint to it, and I don't want to use that for this. I'm going to use the green pale. Give this lemon a little leaf. And I'm going to use this finer brush here, and it's actually wet, so you're going to have to get it wet because, you know, it had that stuff to keep it from getting damaged in transit type stuff. And now we're going to do kind of a stem over here. And I'm going to lighten it a little bit. A little bit of that. Then we're gonna do some green. Now, I don't really like this color green either. It's kind of weird. So we're gonna see if we can't mix some of this, make a better green here. Add some yellow and some yellow ochre, because I wanted a little bit deeper green than that. It's kind of a weird, it doesn't seem to want to, like, I'm going to cover up this blob that we made over there. Well, that I made when I squished the paint out. Now we're going to do a second leaf. I'm not really that impressed with the brush, that's for sure. But, you know, it's one of those free ones that they send in the kit. And just a word of warning, they're generally not that good a quality. So they don't usually go very well. I'm going to use one of my own and see if I can't get a little bit more green, darker green. I don't know. I'm going to do a little bit in here. And then a little bit. And then kind of do like a little stringy coming up here. Just to see how that goes. Okay. You really got to make sure you rinse your brushes well when you're working with acrylic, because it will just kind of stay in the brushes and not be very easy to work with later. Well, it's going to do a little bit of shadow behind here. So you get a little bit of depth. So, I don't know. Interesting. I mean, not if you're a beginner, that's really probably not bad for quality of paint. So, it'd be interesting. But, so that's these tubes. The Craft for All. So, we're going to set that aside and get another one out. And we're going to dig out these tubies. And, let's see. Since we did a lemon, I guess we'll do a lemon and compare lemons to lemons. So, here we have yellow, cadmium yellow, yellow green, viridian, alizarin. We don't need any of that. I could have sworn there was some umber. Yes, raw umber. Okay, so these ones have the little seals on them instead of, and I'm thinking I'm just gonna poke, because they just have the one hole, so I'm going to just poke a hole in them right around there, because otherwise it'll probably get messy. Get my rag. And my instinct is that these probably need to be shaken, but they're not watercolor. I can hear this wigging around in here though, so. Okay, so this is the raw umber. And we'll put just a drop right there. And then we have the cadmium yellow. You see how much more liquidy this stuff is than the tubies. So, definitely more of a liquid. I'll put the hole in the wrong spot. We'll see how that goes. Okay. Oh, that yellow's not as liquidy, is it? The cadmium yellow. But this lemon yellow feels pretty liquidy. Now, what you want to keep in mind is acrylic paint is water-based paint. And so it's, I feel it's kind of similar to watercolor in that you can thin it out or do it thick, just like watercolor. It's just water soluble. However, it dries differently from watercolor, and it has different characteristics. So even though I feel like I'm cartoon characteristics, George, even though it's a water-based paint and it can be thinned out like water, you've got way more than I'm going to want to use. And that's a pretty light green too, isn't it? You know, as you explore paint and different types of paint, just keep in mind, watercolor is a real water-based. Acrylic tends to be more of a thicker base. And so anyway, I'm rambling, sorry. But so here we go. We have the colors, and let's see how we can do the lemon on this one. This really long handle. I'm like, I don't know if I want to use that. Okay, so let's get a lemon going here. I'm going to do a little bit more of an angled one. Now this one goes on, actually, I like this one a little bit better than the other one so far. I don't know. Interesting. We want some of that cadmium yellow in the middle. Give it some depth. And then we're going to mix it with the umber to get some depth back here. A little knobber on the end. And we got a little bit outside the lines there. Getting a little too excited. You can tell I've been doing a lot more watercolor lately. It doesn't, I'm used to the paint acting a different way than it's going to. And that's silly. I need to remind myself, not working with watercolor. Hello. Okay, I'll get some white up here. This paint is, I don't know if you can see it, it just seems to be a little bit thinner than that other paint that we were doing. The paint for you, a little thinner. And it's going to show the brush strokes a little bit more. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. But look how the white kind of disappears into the paint. We have to like really lay it in on top to get kind of a highlight here. Okay, kind of a stocky lemon, but you know, I've seen them look like that. I'll do a little bit darker on the edge. Nope, that didn't go as dark as I wanted. And you see that? I got my finger in the paint. I tease my daughter. She goes near any kind of car, automobile, and she always gets grease or whatever on her. I always get paint on me. I don't know what it is. I mean, you know, some of us just are talented that way. Like the wear of the paint. I don't know. Okay. That's still a little bit too dark here for that. I was going to blend a little bit of the cadmium and let that soften a little bit. Okay, now we're going to do our little stem up at the top. And then go back to my finer brush for this. And because we want to do some highlight stuff, you know, so we get a little bit of lighter on the front, since that's where the light's coming right here. I think I used the wrong white on that, so we're using this other. That was a little heavy. Let's mix up some umber and yellow, make it a little lighter here in the middle. Well, we're getting a little too crazy here. And we're going to add the little curly Q first. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to do the leaf. So we have that choice of colors, which is not that lovely for green. So we're going to take this green and add some of the raw umber, make it a little, see if we can't make it a little darker. Some of the cadmium. Come on, let's get a richer green here. I don't know, sometimes when you're mixing colors, depending on the quality, they end up looking like mud. This one's just too loaded with paint. Get that rinsed out. Let's try pulling some of that off. Okay, we'll go back to the thin brush. Let's see if we can't fix this. Make it look a little bit more like a leaf. Get some depth to these over here. So I think the yellows are kind of fun. I'm just not liking the green, that's for sure. Some green back in there. Let me get a little bit of white. See if I can't highlight some of that. No, yeah. I don't like that green at all. So let's do a little bit of background like we did on the other one with the raw umber. Raw umbers are great. Brown. I do like burnt umber just a titch better. Gives you a little bit more. Raw umber is a little bit more red, and burnt umber is a little bit more. Let's see, I'm going to add some yellow to this just a little bit. It's just a little too red. Do some shadows here. The leaves, the lemon. It's a little heavy compared to the other one. Let's see if we can lighten it up a little bit. I mean, it is thinner, but it's just a heavier. So, I don't know. There's the two kinds of paints. So this is the Norberg and Linden, and this one is the Crafts for All. So, I don't know. You can see that it has a little texture to it because it is the watercolor, so it's thicker. You can tell me if you like got a little darker color on this one. And let's see if I don't think it's, oh, that appears to be dry. I don't know. It's still kind of tacky. It's not quite dry yet. So they're not like super fast drying. But anyway, hopefully that's been an interesting exploration for you. And you'll have to let me know what you think of those two different brands. I'm probably not going to use them again, which is sad because they were gifted to me, but I like a lot thicker paint. They did end up blending okay. It's really interesting how different the two, in looking at them. There's quite the different pigments in there. Anyway, it's been fun and it's been interesting. And be sure and hit that subscribe button and wait for the next one to come out. And have a great day.